What is going on, guys? Back with another video. So coming to you with an update on SUPRA. Now, this project is making some pretty big moves, and of course, we've seen a nice surge, up over 60% over the past couple of weeks since my last video. And this was getting a lot of sort of FUD. People were saying that this is a scam, and the thing is, guys, of course, you have to be prepared in crypto for anything to happen, right? This is a layer one. We all know how difficult and competitive and oversaturated the layer one market is. Super now is just over 100 million in market cap. Of course, when you look at the FDV, 600 million. But, in terms of, end of 2025, you're looking at, I think, just under 2x in terms of dilution. So again, it isn't too bad. It's good to see the price action though, right? Because of course, a lot of the time what happens is, we see a new project launch and then most projects, the chart looks like this, right? So it is good to see a little bit of a rally. Do you buy in now or, do you wait for a pullback? Ultimately, it is your decision. Generally speaking, I always like to, look for pullbacks. That is why, I was buying this when, it was down because I saw an opportunity. Now, when you look at what they're doing, since my last video, they're really looking to really grow the overall ecosystem of Supra. And you can see here in terms of the Citadel vaults, basically gives the community like, incentives, discounts on in terms of the whitelist for upcoming projects on Supra. And, these are filling up pretty quickly, right? So there's in total, I think 6 vaults. And, already they have filled, the first, they're on to the 5th vault, guys. So after this, there's only going to be another one. And again, you know, it's up to you if you want to take the risks with, locking up your tokens. It says here that this is for 4 months. So of course it is risky, guys. Me personally, I only stake when it's, potentially a few weeks or, I don't like locking up for more than a couple months. And that's just my, personal preference. But it is a good way to earn some passive income. If you think Supra is going to perform, and I do think there is still huge growth in this project, you haven't missed the boat. Because if you're in the market for a layer one, which is going to give you more than a 5-10x, it's going to give you more than that. You're talking over 10x, 20x, potentially 30x. We can look into that at the end of the video. But again, this is for investors who are looking for potentially something which is higher risk, right? Now, me personally, guys, I am a high risk investor, and I can manage that, right? I'm prepared. You've got to take responsibility, and ultimately that is where the gains are, right? If Supra was at 5 billion, if it was at 10 billion, you're not going to be getting those lucrative returns, right? So as I've said, this Citadel vault is looking promising. You can see some of the builders which are looking to basically, open up the project and, help to, grow the overall Supra ecosystem. So this is good, right? This is, what you want to see in terms of developments, getting a discount on, whitelist, which is, going to be very valuable, right? Because I do think Supra, it is very interesting, right? Another thing which is really interesting is their use case in terms of AutoFi, which I think is going to, sort of revolutionize layer ones. And you can see here with their AutoFi and Supra 2.0, this is going to sort of change, the revenue model for layer ones. Normally, they look at gas fees, and this is going to open up that market, right? You've got things such as automation task fees, for different tasks, which can be automated and can generate, different base fees. You've got competitive auctions, for a variety of different events, liquidations, arbitrage. So you can see what they're doing is opening up the playing field for additional ways to basically earn revenue. And there's a good sort of article here from one of the members in Supra, 21 potential AutoFi use cases. And again, this is something unique, right? This is something which has potential to really gain adoption. So you can see things like, auto portfolio management. Of course, a lot of people manage their portfolio manually. Schedule payments in terms of subscriptions, recurring payments. You can automate them. Programmable NFT buys, arbitrage assist, wallet balance top up, auto loan repayments. So there's a huge, different variety of tasks that this can do, right? And that is something I do like about Supra. They are very technical and they have a wide variety of different products, with their, native data oracles, automation, and ultimately, looking to be a bit different to all the other layer ones, right? So again, good to see. You look at the partnerships they've got, and again, wide variety of different partnerships from, Web2 companies, Web3 companies, different narratives, which is good to see, right? Again, important. So yeah, and you look at other things, such as their partnerships with ApeChain in terms of, providing the Oracle price feeds, on-chain randomness. Again, it's good to see, right? Good partnerships, integrations with different, projects within the Web3 space. And then, you've got other areas, potential areas where the team is working on, right? Likes of distributed protocols, cryptography, on-chain randomness, verifiable computing, management, recovery, DeFi, TradeFi, DEXs, security. So there's a huge variety of different use cases for this where it can potentially go, research areas. And that's another thing about SUPRA, right? The team is, very credible, right? You can see the strength it goes into, fully docs. You can see that they've come from, credible backgrounds, good universities, with good experience in cryptography, blockchain privacy, huge range of things, right? So for me personally, that's another very promising factor. And then it's, the partnerships, right? Look at some of the backers behind this, huge backers, which is also very important for me. You can see, some of their backers. We'll just quickly get to it. So here, of course, Coinbase Ventures, some other big investors as well. They raised over 42 million from these VCs. And of course, people do get a bit nervous with that. But again, guys, look at Sui, look at Solana, look at Sai, look at all these other big layer ones which have had big VCs. Again, that's just part of the process. And ultimately, these big VCs, they want this project to perform well. And in my opinion, I think 100 million is still very undervalued, right? And the other thing is, guys, I'm not bringing this to you or, telling you to buy this when it's at all-time highs. I like to look for these projects when they are on good discounts. And this is still very close to the bottom, guys, just 100% up from the bottom, 90% from, the top. Of course, in market cap terms, that is going to look a bit different because of dilution. Back to all-time high is 300 million. That for me is going to be very easy, in my opinion. I think this project has a lot of potential to move because the thing is, this isn't, a lot of people are starting to, gain exposure to this. And you can see some of their other programs and, MasterCard, StartPath, other sort of, accelerator programs as well. So yeah, guys, looks good. As I've said, in terms of dilution, token utility is very solid, very good token utility. And also they've said that they look to basically expand that. So yeah, as I've said, dilution looking at just under a 2x. So yeah, guys, if you look at the market cap, as I've said, 100 million. If this was to go to something like Aptos, around 3 billion, you're looking at a 30x. I don't think that's impossible, guys. A 3 billion market cap for a layer one like SUPRA is definitely on the cards. And that's why I'm saying, guys, this can give you those additional returns in comparison to some of the other layer ones, which are higher. And again, guys, just a quick update on SUPRA. I do really like this project and I'm prepared for the risk, guys. Of course, you need to be prepared for the risk. And anyway, I hope you enjoyed this update on SUPRA. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like, and I'll see you very soon for the next video.